Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these charts. They're all looking a little wrecked at the moment. There is opportunity, I have to say, and I know that's probably what every other person's saying out there, but I'll show you what the opportunities are. I think the opportunities, I know it's going to sound crazy, just bear with me. I think the opportunities are in some of the altcoins. And again, it doesn't mean that they're definitely going to work, right? Does not mean that at all. But I'll just have to show you. Okay, let me just show you. And again, I'm not saying full reversal to the moon. I'm saying opportunity. It is what it is. It's just statistical likelihood of a move in one particular direction. So we'll start with Ethereum on the monthly. So the monthly Bollinger Band Center, 20 moving average, 21 exponential. With that comes the 65% chance of a bounce from here. Just a bounce, maybe a reversal, but a bounce all the same. And that is that. It's on a monthly. So that means spots, low leverage positions are warranted here, with stop losses, reasonably lower than those areas on the chart, which is basically that we'll just say 3,000 for Ethereum. So if we see Ethereum go lower than 3,000, and especially if we start getting rejected at 3,000. Well, yeah, at that problem, we got a problem, man. We got a problem. So that's your Ethereum situation for a monthly. Yes, I know it's monthly. Weekly, there is no real idea here for turning around anytime soon. The 50 simple moving average is where we're at, and again, it's all part of a golden cross. So other than that, the 50 simple is not usually anything that I ever really consider as a support or resistance or anything. I have it on the chart to tell me when there's a golden cross on simple moving averages, and that's it. Never really see it get support, but I have to say that with Ethereum, there does seem to be a little bit of relevance on it, just a tiny bit, but not much. So simple moving averages. There's your 200 simple finding a lot of support here. Here's your 50 simple getting a lot of wiki rejection on it. So fine, we'll go with it for the moment. And again, it's only a weekly. It is what it is, so we'll just accept it. What do we have on the daily? Well, we're below all the moving averages at this point now. Looking pretty tired and worn out, actually. Trend signal still trending now for the downtrend of this chart. This is a little bit of bull div, I have to say. So low here, higher low here with a low and a lower low. So we do have some regular bullish divergence formed on the RSI. The last few times we've seen this, here was one that was actually referenced properly. We did have a bounce into the 50 death cross, and we had one here and here, which had a very small, minute bounce into the 20 moving average. So that means that if this works in the same way, you'll be looking for a bouncy bounce somewhere towards the 20 moving average, so around about 3,600 to maybe the upper portion, which is 3,800. Again, just going off recent price action, single drives, bull divs, and see where that takes you. So that's what that says on the daily. And again, we're just looking at Ethereum for a bit of an overall idea of perhaps maybe what altcoins are capable of doing, if they're capable of doing anything at all. And I said on the Telegram last night, I'm taking some long positions. I got some of them stopped out, some of them still in play. I'm going to take some again this morning, looking at the situation right now. Again, it won't take long to know if I'm wrong. I get stopped out, start again. It's no big deal. And this is what futures is all about. You can have a very tight stop loss. You can be stopped out immediately. You don't have to wait for your entire margin to be completely liquidated. That is not how you play the game. So yeah, what we're seeing here is a tiny bit of bull div on the money flow index, but really nothing really going on here on the 4 hourly, just continuously trending down. That is the situation here. So short-term time frame is kind of weak. You could see some wicks. It might be very difficult to get those entry points based on weeklies and monthlies, because obviously the high-term time frames like that require closes at the end of the week. And in amongst all of that, you can get wicks all over the place, as we have seen over the last few months. Crypto market loves a wick. So that's the situation there. Bitcoin obviously looks terrible, and I don't really see a great deal to talk about there, I'm afraid. But altcoins is where I'm at. Look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. over the last 4 hours. So big sort of move down from its wick to here. Well, I say big, it's a percent. On the dominance chart, that's more than you'd get normally, and we're teasing the idea of breaking down below the 4 hourly golden cross, which is something that we've not seen since we created it. So bang, bouncy bounce, up, 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 blah, 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 blah. So we do have bull dips down here, but that's a sharp projection. This is what I was saying on the Telegram yesterday. I think altcoins, specifically altcoins, is where I'm going to be longing. I've not taken any positions in Bitcoin. I still have my long from 70,000, but other than that, I'm not really interested in going either direction on Bitcoin. I honestly think that the altcoins is the place to be for any kind of position on this. So this is where I'm at, and it's nice to wake up and see this because it kind of feeds into what I was thinking yesterday, that's where we're going to go. So there's your 4 hourly, which is the first time we've seen a little weakness here. We do need to come down a little lower than that on the 4 hourly and on the daily. Start closing around 59.5% dominance. You get the continued pullback downtrend, really, which is what all of this is. This is a death cross here, rejection here. Obviously that big mega wick. And below the box as well the entire time. 2 candles close, 3 candles close, and now we're sort of we're eyeballing this support, really. Again, hidden bull at support. If it bounces from here, so be it. It's a frustrating market, I appreciate that, but if we lose this, then bang. So the daily, again, is in a bearish formation anyway. And look at the weekly. Okay, okay, if you're going to get a rejection statistically on the dominance chart, this would be the big one here. So we lost all of this. We've been downtrending ever since. We've had a bit of a reversal. Well, not reversal. I suppose it's a measly bounce back up. So nice amount of altcoin situation here. Little bit of frustration up here. If we're going to get the rejection, 65% chance of a rejection here. So again, 4 hourly, daily, and weekly, all showing signs that actually the dominance chart is likely to come down. So remember that big, massive altcoin bounce that we saw, was it a couple of weeks ago? Well, it was over a week ago. That would, what could be happening here is if this does work the way it looks like it wants to work, is that we would not just get something like that, but we'd get something a bit more sustained than that. I know it's hard to believe amongst the chaos that we've seen and the red that we're currently within, but that's what it suggests. And I can't help but say it any other way. That's just the way it looks. Okay, so we've done Ethereum, we've done a dominance chart. Let's have a think about one last coin here, which is Litecoin, which for the moment is holding up relatively well, giving signs of decent reversals. So we're now at $95, $96. Now I'm not highlighting Litecoin as the best thing you've ever seen in the world. We're at the center of what could be a very large accumulation range with a weekly golden cross as well, which is basically being retested at 92 to 93, and maybe the lowest you'll go and still have a bullish bias immediately is down at these 80s areas, around 85, 84. Let's move over to the daily. So you got the fresh death cross here, which found a rejection. We're below the 20 moving average. So again, we need to get above 97 and then above 103, and then you should be targeting the 136. So I like it. I do like it. It's absolutely not like all systems go at the moment, but it's decent enough with one driver bullish divergence here, and unlike Bitcoin, which is making lower lows, low highs, lower lows, this one in the short term is not. So again, focused on a few things, the dominance chart being one of the keys here, and trying to find certain individual altcoins that complement the idea of a consistent move up. So this has got a golden cross on simple moving averages on the 4 hourly here, turning up as well on the money flow index. No bull divs or anything like that. It's just structurally it could turn around from here. And again, highlighting the $100 zone here. So once you see Litecoin reclaim $100, you should be targeting 136 initially and see where you go from there. So there's always more out here that can do more. It's not, Bitcoin is down more than most of the best altcoins, or the altcoins that we like to highlight, or some of the ones that we highlighted on the stream. It was a decent stream on Wednesday. I'd say the first 3 or 4 altcoin charts that we looked at were very promising. So I mean, Litecoin was in that group, and you can see that XRP obviously did all right for itself. It's curled back over and come back down to where it started from, but it's not made fresh lows though, has it? Bitcoin has, and I have seen this before. You might have seen it before in 2020, into early 2021. Bitcoin consolidates, altcoins start to liven up a little. Now, we're not there yet, I have to say. We're absolutely not there yet. And I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it can happen, and it can happen towards the end of some form of bull run. Yeah, we could be entering into the end of the bull run. We might have already seen it end. I'm just putting it to you that it's not quite yet as bad as everybody thinks. Bitcoin is down below $100,000. There's reason to be a bit concerned, I have to say. I've started to reshuffle some of my portfolio, for better or for worse, into cash, which I'm using now for futures. So basically, long story short, I've sold some of my spot positions of the top performers. Now I'm holding it in cash, which I'm using in the futures market very, very carefully, I should add. Hopefully I will benefit from that, and if we see that the market wants to turn around officially, then that money from futures will then go back into spot, and I can have a bit more of a relaxing day, because I don't really like doing futures with large amounts, but that's where I am at the moment. Right, the last one I'm going to show you, and again, please don't watch this and go, oh, he mentioned this coin, thou must buy it. Let's have a look at XVG. Now, look, I'm telling you now, I am not highlighting this as the best thing you have ever seen in the world ever. I'm really not. I'm just showing you something. That's all I'm showing. I'm just showing you. I'm just wanting to show you something. Okay. So there are some altcoins out there which have been relatively consistent, although they are not the pumps that your granddad told you about in the last bull market. So we're looking at lows, highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and then potentially a higher high on something like this. This has been going on since 2023, since the bull market began. So this is one of those coins or one of those charts, should I say, that's actually still consistently bull market over the high term time frame and the short term time frame. Low, high, higher low, higher high, blah blah blah. So you're kind of looking at stuff like that occasionally. You will find stuff like this where you're like, okay, structurally it's still intact. Structurally, this is still a bullish, long-term bullish chart, which realistically should be getting ready to make a higher high, basically, just based on what we see. Now, obviously, it's a crypto. It will respond to all the other cryptos out there. So if Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, BNB, Solana, Litecoin, everything comes down, XVG is probably going to come down as well, let's face it. But realistically, this is a bullish chart, one of the bullish charts in crypto. It's been consistent. And again, I'm not saying it's a millionaire starter kit, but it does exist and it is there. There's a few like that. And again, because things aren't going super parabolic, people don't often refer to charts in this sort of way. But if you have a 3-year, or let's just say in this case 2 years, 2.5 years of price action creating higher highs and higher lows the entire time, by definition that's an uptrend, isn't it, really? So here is one. We've got a golden cross as well, just formed on the daily. You're not going to see many of those on altcoins these days. So there is one there for you. And again, Litecoin also another. These are two of the charts that I've longed yesterday, and I will likely long again today, because, as I always say, if you get up and look at charts at 6, half 6 in the morning, every morning, Greenwich Mean Time or Universal Time or wherever UTC is, that's where the opportunities present themselves most of the time. Early morning, and I'm looking at this as bouncy time today. So there's one. Another one that is in a massive uptrend, and again, just let's just not think about what it's done from its peak to its low. Let's think about what it's done from its low to its peak. That's the best way to think about it, okay? It's not to measure it from down to low. Look at this. Here's another one from 2023. So same as XVG. We've got a series. We've got low, high, high, low, high, 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 low, high, 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 low, high, high, blah, blah, blah. So that is, again, by definition, an uptrend. So we've got another one there. And again, I'm not highlighting these to say buy these now or you will regret it for the rest of your life. I'm not saying that. I'm pointing out that some cryptos, well, to be fair, quite a lot of cryptos are still in uptrends. They're still in bloody uptrends, all right? They are big swinged uptrends. And you know, if you were to buy them, you might make a few quid. If you don't buy them, it's no big deal. But it's not as bad as many might think. And if we're thinking about going long or buying anything, you know, we've been presented with trends here, potentially quite volatile trends that are closer to any kind of major low than any kind of major high in a series of high lows and higher highs. And again, this is just a few of them that we've seen here. Look, I think I'll leave it with you there. Hopefully you get the point. And again, I'm not trying to prescribe a trade for anybody. It's absolutely not what I'm doing. I'm just presenting to you some ideas of, you know, what it is that's really going on. It's easy to get emotional when a lot of people sort of buy these parabolic moves or even buy tops. They will obviously measure from the low, from the high to the low, because that's their experience of the bull market. You know, getting wrecked and wrecked and wrecked. Whereas, you know, my experience of the bull market is quite the opposite. It's buying low and in some cases selling high, but in most cases still holding, which is where I am right now. But remember, you know, buying low allows you to go through these big swings like this and still remain calm and relaxed and comfortable, because actually you're seriously in profit anyway. So it's not always the case. I'm wrecked on a few, but generally I'm not wrecked. Generally, I'm actually sitting quite pretty overall, so I have a very composed and calm demeanour. But, like I said, I'm not here to say, buy this, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I'm just showing you some charts, just a little reflection of what we spoke about on the Patreon on Wednesday. And if you want to join that Patreon, the link is in the description below. We'll be doing another stream on Sunday. Other than that, though, I'll just leave it with you there. Like I say, I think the money will be in altcoins. I think the money is in altcoins almost immediately. I think we're going to have a nice little response, not just today, but probably moving throughout the rest of this year. It feels almost like impossible to say that without feeling my ears burn, as not you, but other people who are watching this video now are almost certainly going to be significantly wrecked and will disagree with what I say, because they like to measure, or they have no choice but to measure from peaks to lows, whereas really you should be thinking about the lows to the peaks or the lows to the peaks. You know, price action is counterintuitive. You know, it's easy and it's human nature, really. Lots of people have the inability, and it's not their fault. I think this is just the way that we are generally designed, how we're wired, to not see or not be able to imagine how this will unfold. Also recognizing particular patterns on a chart, which, you know, again, when you say it out loud, it's kind of obvious. This is a uptrend with big swings and big supports and high targets of, you know, in this instance around 50 cents. It's a decent move pending here. I'm not saying that it has to reach that. Obviously, we know that it doesn't have to at all. This could go to absolute zero. We know that. But at the moment, if there's a model that fits, you go with the model that fits. And that's the main thing I'd like to present here. If there is a model fits, the model fits, go with the model that fits. Anyway, this video is much longer than I expected it to be. If you made it to the end, please let me know. If you didn't, obviously you will not. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.